Hello and welcome to another fantasy football tournament series. This is the Middle Eastern Cup. I did an Arab Nations Cup, but this is different because the Middle East geographically encompasses a somewhat different region, and it encompasses countries that are not in the Arab Nations Cup because, there are a couple of countries that are not Arab that are in the Middle East. Some notable absences here that you will see are Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya, because even though they are Arab countries, they are North African countries. It's complicated. There's, different countries fall under the definition of Arab, and then others Middle Eastern, African, and Asian. So, a lot of these teams are any combination of those things. So, for example, Middle East, as you see in this tournament, I have teams like Iran, who are Persian. I have Turkey, and I have Israel. So, this is a Middle Eastern Cup. The only North African country that is also considered Middle East is Egypt. To be honest, I'm not even sure why. I've always wondered that myself. But Egypt is Arab, North African, and Middle Eastern. It is the only country that fits all three definitions, or is under all three categories. And a lot of Middle Eastern countries you see are West Asian nations. So, it's complicated. I could make a separate video explaining it to some people that might be confused, but it's not really a geography channel; it's a soccer channel, which I guess sometimes overlaps into geography because that's pretty much unavoidable. But yeah, you have two countries here that play in UEFA. You have Turkey and you have Israel. Turkey is considered the gateway between Europe and Asia. It's both a European country, an Asian country, and a Middle Eastern country. Whereas Israel is not considered a European country, but they play in UEFA, but they're still a Middle Eastern country. And I haven't included them in any other tournaments before, so I wanted to put them here. So let's jump in. My host nation that I chose is Lebanon. I like Lebanon. It seems like it's a nice place. I've always wanted to go to Lebanon. I like Lebanese people. I have a few friends that are Lebanese, so I decided to make Lebanon the host nation. So Group A is Lebanon, Bahrain, Jordan, and Iraq. Group B is Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Palestine. Group C is Turkey, Oman, Israel, and Kuwait. And Group D is Egypt, Yemen, Syria, and UAE. Egypt was in the same group with Syria in the Arab Nations Cup. I guess we just can't avoid Syria. I do this draw at random, by the way. So, yeah. And I have my own seeding system, too. So, for Group A, Lebanon, Bahrain, Jordan, and Iraq, I think that Iraq is probably the best team here. A few years ago, it would have been Jordan, who came close to qualifying for the 2014 World Cup. But I'm going with Iraq to top this group. And Jordan kind of should come in second, but it's pretty close between them and Lebanon as far as quality. I'm going with the host nation to come in second. So Iraq wins the group. Lebanon second. Group B, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Palestine. Yeah, that opening match between Iran and Saudi Arabia, that's not going to be controversial at all. Two clear favorites, both qualified for the World Cup. I think Iran is better defense, It's going to finish in this exact order, I think. Maybe Palestine even comes in third over Qatar. I'm not sure. But regardless, Iran and Saudi Arabia go through. Uh, Group C, Turkey, Oman, Israel, and Kuwait. I'm going with Turkey. I think they're a really, really good European team. It sucks for them that they have to play in UEFA because they are a World Cup caliber side, and they've sort of returned to their former greatness in recent years. They qualified for Euro 2016. They got a very difficult group in World Cup qualifying. Really decent players playing in some of the top clubs in Europe. I also really like Arda Turan. Oman are current Gulf nation champions. But I'm going to go with Israel to come in second. Yeah, I'm going to go with Israel to come in second. They're sort of a mid-tier level European side. They used to be much better back in the day, actually. They came close to getting a Euro. No, excuse me. They came very close to getting a spot in the playoffs for European World Cup qualifying back in 2006. Very close to it. Used to have some great players like Talbot Haim and Yossi Benayoun. I think they come in second. Group D, Egypt, Yemen, Syria, UAE. I think, putting my own bias aside, I think objectively speaking, we're the best team in this group. I think we should get 7 points. Be a battle between Syria and the UAE for second. And just like in the Arab Nations Cup, I'm going with Syria again. Egypt and Syria in the same group to come out of this group in that order again. So let's go on to the quarterfinals. So in the quarterfinals, we have Iraq versus Saudi Arabia, Turkey versus Syria, Iran versus Lebanon, Egypt versus Israel. Iraq versus Saudi Arabia. Said before, Iraq is very much a tournament team. They don't have very good luck in World Cup qualifying, but whenever tournaments come around, they're always a really, really big threat. Here against Saudi Arabia, I think the Saudis will just about edge it. Just about. Maybe on penalties, too. But I think Saudi Arabia will go to the semifinals in this hypothetical tournament scenario. Turkey and Syria. I like Syria. I mean, they were a great story during qualification. They almost qualified for the World Cup, given all the problems their country has. They could have a bright future, this team. But I'm going with Turkey. I just think they're better. Turkey's just overall quality. Forgot to say that Turkey also has a more than decent domestic league in the club level. I mean, Galatasaray, Besiktas. My Bayern team throttled them, but I mean it is Bayern after all, and you got to give a Turkish club a ton of credit getting to the UEFA Champions League round of 16. The Turkish league is one of the best in Eastern Europe, to be honest. Iran versus Lebanon. Yeah, Iran's just the better side. I don't have to go into detail. Well done to the host nation, Lebanon, for getting here, though. Egypt versus Israel. This might generate some controversy, but just keep in mind, this is not a politics channel. It's just soccer. I think objectively speaking here, I do think we're better. Though, about a decade ago, maybe you could say maybe Israel would come through here. But I think now we're better than Israel, our team. So I think Egypt should come through this. Let's see. So semifinals would be Saudi Arabia versus Turkey. And Iran versus Egypt. I say this is reasonable. Saudi Arabia, Turkey. Yeah, no, Turkey's the better side. I mean, yeah, I think Turkey would win this. They've got too much. I think it would be closer than people expect. A lot of people are disrespecting Saudi Arabia, saying they're the weakest team in the World Cup 2018. I don't agree with that, to be honest. I can think of a couple of other teams that, in my opinion at least, are worse. But Saudi, Saudi is a decent side. Turkey, I just think Turkey's too much. They're too strong. I think Turkey wins this. Iran versus Egypt. I'd love for us to go through here, but I don't see it. I think Iran, well, here's the thing about Iran's defense. They don't leak very many goals, but if Mohamed Salah gets an early goal here, then that could change their strategy and play right into Egypt's hands. But I gotta go with the right train of thought here. Say Iran would beat us in the semifinals. Third place game, Saudi Arabia versus Egypt. And what a coincidence, we are playing each other this June in the World Cup 2018 in Russia. Huh. Well, as you know, I do think my Egyptian team will advance to the round of 16. So, because of that, I don't want to jinx us here by saying we beat the Saudis. And, yeah, this is a little bit chicken shit, but I don't want to jinx it for us. I don't want to say we beat Saudi here because then it might come back to bite me in the World Cup. We will see these two teams play, but just because of the fact that I'm superstitious, I'm going to say Saudi Arabia beats us here. And hopefully that means we beat them in the World Cup. Please. So I'm going to say Saudi gets third place in the Middle Eastern Cup. Egypt gets fourth. That does not mean I think Saudi Arabia is better than us. It just means I'm a superstitious fool. That's what it means. Turkey versus Iran, the final. And interestingly enough, these are two teams, Middle Eastern teams that are both not Arab, and they are both they both have their own language. So Turkey versus Iran in the Middle Eastern Cup final. I would personally cheer for Iran in this case. But I think if you just look at individual, like talent-wise, I think Turkey has got it. Yeah. I think Turkey's got it. So I'm going to pick Turkey to win. Iran will come in runners-up. So Turkey wins the Middle Eastern Cup. Turkey in first, Iran in second, Saudi Arabia third, Egypt fourth. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, God willing. Till then, have a good one. Much love and peace.